Look, making movies is hard, man. Especially when you are still young and have absolutely no idea what you are doing. Look, I've always loved Spider-Man. I don't think it's a secret at this point. I really care about what this character's lore means and what it does for people. And I've always been amazed by the great works of people like Sam Raimi, Mark Webb, and John Watts, because these guys brought this character to life, and even if one version isn't for you, they all reached someone, and that's why that really matters. At the time, I wanted to tell a different kind of Spider-Man story, but something that still harkens back to the old school tales of Peter Parker. I've read at least 1,000 Spider-Man issues, if not more, so I felt very comfortable writing for these characters and this world that I very much grew familiar with as a kid. At the time, I was going through a lot emotionally. I had maybe lost my father at least 6 to 7 months ago to cancer before production had started, so that was still something I was dealing with, as well as some major shakeups in my personal life and relationships. And overall, I wasn't in the best mental state to make this movie. I wish I had waited to do the production because I feel like it would have saved everyone a lot of trouble at the end of the day. I feel like I overworked not only myself, but Diego. We spent a lot of time crafting this, and in a way, we sacrificed a lot. This film also wasn't very well planned when we shot it. It was the first time I had ever made anything this long before, and now if I make something like this again, I feel like I would be much more prepared, but at the time, I basically didn't storyboard anything. We didn't have any sets picked out. Nothing was planned. Some people weren't even cast while the production had started. Every day was just me waking up one morning and being like, all right, what are we going to do today in the Child Within group chat? What can we shoot and how can we do this as fast as possible for this week? The production was so messy, we didn't have Mary Jane casted until like a month and a half into shooting, which is kind of insane to think about. It was a lot of stress to not have anything planned out. Thankfully for my other short films like El Capitan Part 2, I actually storyboarded every scene, and it made the whole process way easier. More planning equals less stress on the day of shooting, and it basically gave me a recipe for what I was going to do. And it helped whoever was on camera that day basically understand what we were going to shoot without me having to explain it as much. We originally had Zion Davis, formerly known as Fanvax, on the project, but unfortunately, after an accident, we lost all of the original Brooklyn Bridge footage. I have a few surviving shots left, but this is the only stuff I could find. VFX Valor took over for the swinging sequences shortly afterwards, and the rest is history. He really helped bring the film to life in a way that I couldn't have done. It was my first time working with this much VFX. I had never shot anything on an actual green screen. In Spider-Man Enlightenment, the green screen work you see is literally just green poster board with green duct tape, and we had Diego and Gabe holding several lamps behind me, and we didn't even have a tripod. This time we actually had a green screen because I decided to work more and invest more money into this. We filmed it in Diego's house and had access to Gabe's lights, thankfully this time, instead of those LED lamps, but we still had a few LED lamps just to help with some extra spots on the green screen. The Aunt May scene where I'm with her in the hospital room was initially filmed on a green screen and was later going to be replaced with a CGI room, just like this scene right here with Caroline as Mary Jane. But when shooting the ending of Mirrored Reflections with Diego, we were given access to a fake hospital room in our high school, so I decided to take the opportunity to reshoot the Aunt May scene, so we actually had a set. We also didn't have Aunt May, like the actress, in the hospital room. I actually just went over to her house and recorded them like the next day with the same lighting setup too, and the same ISO settings for consistency. The body you see me crying on top of is actually just a mannequin. I used the Aunt May death in the PS4 game, as well as the one where Matthew McConaughey cries in the Interstellar scene, as the main source of inspiration. And, I can't lie, some real-world inspiration bled into that performance, too. As you can see, there is a lot of original music in this film. I actually took a music theory class during my senior year of high school, and I was actually experimenting with sounds beforehand with Spider-Man Enlightenment, having samples of the Spider-Man Homecoming soundtrack mixed with the Raimi soundtrack. While in music theory, I learned how to use Noteflight, which is what I used to write the Spider-Man theme. I then exported the MIDI file over to GarageBand on a Mac that they had at the high school, where I began playing with the compression and other audio settings to make the instruments sound as real as possible. I did all this, and I'm sure anybody else can. Learning basic music theory helps piece a lot of it together, even if you don't know how to play any instruments like me, and there's plenty of tutorials online. I only know ukulele and very basic piano, so this was definitely a huge leap for me at the time. Some of the music has hints of the original Green Goblin theme, as well as the Hans Zimmer Green Goblin theme. Another aspect of sound I kept in mind was how New York sounded. The area we shot in sounded nothing like New York. It was a smaller town, and it didn't have anywhere near as much noise. A lot of the traffic sounds and ambient noise you hear in The Child Within, it's not actually from Dallas, but rather ambient noise that I recorded while visiting my cousin in New York. I also went ahead and got some establishing shots that I could use throughout the film. All this was an attempt to give the film a more New York-like feel rather than Dallas, Texas. Whether we pulled it off is up to you guys. I feel like most people won't be able to tell, but if you've been to New York, you know this isn't Queens. But hey, you know what? Even the Sam Raimi films, I feel like it's pretty obvious that they're in Chicago, especially in like the subway fight, because subways are underground in New York. They're not above ground. A lot of the sets were also just public spaces. The car we filmed the shocker scene in was just an abandoned car we found outside, and all of the Peter at college stuff was just shot at a big high school in Dallas. You can also do all of this yourself too. All it took was a bit of location scouting. You can also just choose places you're already familiar with, which is what I did most of the time. A lot of the actors in this film are just people I know and or family members. This is very much a Peruvian Spider-Man fan film in many ways, which, fun fact, Josh Keaton is also Peruvian, which I find really cool because I didn't know Spider-Man was so connected to the motherland. Even the character Ezekiel Sims dies in Peru in the comics, which I had no idea when making the very first Spider-Man Enlightenment. My older brother plays Uncle Ben. My cousin plays Ezekiel Sims. His wife plays Aunt May. My dad's old friend plays J. Jonah Jameson. And my friends make up the rest of the cast. We also had my friend Christian, who plays Ben Urich on the Daily Bugle News, stunt double for Harry in the final fight scene. Every single one of Ryland's lines you hear in that fight scene was just ADR. We just recorded it in my room on a separate day. Diego is also my stunt double in the first fight scene with the Green Goblin, which is an almost direct adaptation of how Spider-Man and the Green Goblin met in the Ditko comics, much like how I adapted panel for panel the Brooklyn Bridge sequence, as well as adding an homage to the Raimi trilogy in the beginning. Everyone that was a part of this crew basically helped so much, and I really couldn't have done it without their participation. This project was alive because of the actors and the crew. It wouldn't have existed otherwise. But yeah, guys, that is how we made Spider-Man: The Child Within. If you guys have any more questions, make sure to leave a comment down below. To be honest, I don't think we're going to be developing any projects in this universe anytime soon. We have a lot of stuff we've been working on recently, and we're just excited to show it to all of you guys. One of them is an original series, and the other is a follow-up to El Capitan Part 2, and just a further expansion of that story. But yeah, I'm excited to do both of those projects, and I just don't see Spider-Man just anywhere in the near future, but hey, who knows? Life is unpredictable. That could change, but I think I'm going to focus on other things for now. But if you guys are interested, just let me know in the comments below. You know, I'm always eager to see what you guys think. But yeah, guys, that's it for the video. Don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys later.